With the dust settled on the Season 2 Reloaded update, our eyes are now pointing towards Season 3. And in this video, we're going to be diving into the brandly new added intels with Season 2 Reloaded to paint the picture for Season 3 and DLC 2's Berlin map. And surprisingly, we don't have that much longer to wait, only 2 and a bit weeks until Season 3. I don't know about you, but I am so ready for a new season to drop because Season 2 Reloaded didn't give us much. We're going to be chatting about the storyline premise going into Season 3, the Berlin map, as well as the potential wonder weapons that we'll see in the next Zombies DLC. You're going to want to make sure you don't miss any of this video. And you're also going to want to make sure you use code Dalek if you're purchasing any G Fuel products in the future. Shameless plug linked in the description. So what do we know about DLC 2 and Season 3? Well, we learned in the Season 2 intels that Dr Valentina of Omega Group has gone to Berlin. Through various ciphers from D Machina, we realized it's been giving us clues to plotting behind Omega Group's back to resurrect dead German soldiers from World War II. And from the newly added intels, we learn a bit more about her trip. She references a Russian operation called Operacja Inversia, which was first mentioned in a hidden cipher on D Machine back in November of 2020, which read, "Attention K, P confirms viability of deployment, opportunity identified in previous communique. Selected site is approved for trial run of Operacja Inversia. The nature of warfare is about to transform. Any mission, anytime, any place, G." Now at the time, this seemed very cryptic without explanation, but thanks to the introduction of Firebase C, we have a load of new characters and we can finally put letters to names. With Attention K obviously meaning Attention Kravchenko. Going forward, we read P confirms viability of deployment. The only P in Omega is Dr. William Peck, and the letter ends with G, which references Gorev, who is Kravchenko's right-hand man. So let's dive into all the new things we've learned about this Berlin DLC map, starting with this intel from Valentina, who presented her plans in Berlin, the General Secretary and select members of the Committee for State Security, which also references Operacja Inversia.
I just returned from the Kremlin, where I presented the list of proposed targets for Operacja Inversia to the General Secretary and select members of the Committee for State Security. The results were mixed. I should be pleased that the overall plan was so well received. Perhaps they realized that without bold action, the Soviet Union could collapse within a decade. And Inversia is nothing if not bold. It would be a death blow to the West, which may account for the committee's preference of 2 particular targets. But I pushed hard for Berlin. It would have afforded me further opportunities to complete my preparations there. The colonel did question my fixation on Berlin, but I just told him I hate the Germans. That is always enough of an excuse for veterans of the great patriotic war like Kravchenko.
There's a few key points we need to take from this radio. The first being this plan disguised as something which will help the Soviet Union grow stronger. She sort of blackmails them in a way by describing that without bold actions such as what she's preparing to do, the Soviet Union could collapse within a decade. And that's referencing this Operacja Inversia. She also pushed hard for this operation to be taken place in Berlin, and that Kravchenko questioned why she was so fixated on this location, but she just told him that she just hated Germans, plain and simple, and that was enough of an excuse to fool Kravchenko. Now, for some reason, Weaver and Requiem are not getting back in contact with the only person who seems to know Valentina's up to no good. Someone called Heinrich Meyer, who's the station chief for Berlin Office of Requiem.
Weaver, this is Meyer, Berlin station chief. Urgent question. Did you get the memorandum I submitted on Saturday? If so, why is there still no response? Forgive me, but I do not think anyone at Langley grasps the seriousness of the situation. Dr. Valentina is here, in Berlin. The city is divided. East and West are nose to nose here. If she does something drastic, the consequences could go global in the worst possible way. Just please advise how best to proceed. Personally, I'd like a Requiem strike team en route here right now, but I leave that decision to you.
Now, with the way that this radio ends, it sounds like it's setting up the perfect reason for Requiem to go to Berlin. He's literally requesting for a Requiem strike team to be there right now. It leaves that decision to Weaver, and I just hope it's not too soon too late before Weaver realizes. This will probably all tie in super nicely with the Outbreak Easter egg conclusion and how it sets up for this Berlin map. And speaking of that, that is the main point of Season 3's launch with zombies, is the Dark Ether story is going to continue in Outbreak. And what they said in their Season 2 Reloaded blog post, they said looking ahead, the Dark Ether story will continue in Outbreak in Season 3, teeing up the events that will unfold throughout Black Ops Cold War Zombies in the seasons to come. Stay tuned. Now, that is all straight from the horse's mouth, which basically says that when Season 3 drops, the story will continue through that main Easter egg quest. Ultimately, this Easter egg will end with a massive conclusion, which is going to solidify the events that will unfold throughout the seasons to come for Cold War Zombies, meaning it's going to set up the Berlin map and future locations as well, which means that Easter egg will be coming in just over 2 weeks time, but we won't see a DLC map, in my opinion, from that wording until at least the Reloaded update for Season 3, which would be the last week of May. But what exactly is Operacja Inversia, you ask? Well, translated from Russian, it means Operation Inversion. With inversion meaning a situation in which something's changed, so it's the opposite of what it was before. Looking back to the original intels from D Machine, this is a Omega-wide approved operation for which they could co-opt the way that zombies metabolize Ethereum, use that for their own purposes to essentially create their own army controlling the dead. And we learn about this from a new intel where we learn that on the site of the Ural Mountains, Dr Peck managed to capture 4 Tempests, which are the Dark Ether version of the Avogadro's, scientific analysis and for experimentation.
William Peck, supplemental notes. Well, it took a week and cost the lives of some brave young men, but we finally did it. We caught 4 of those floaty blue bastards alive. Okay, sure. By we, I mean the highly trained operators in Omega Group. I'm not exactly the field ops type. But they could never have locked down those lightning bugs without the gear I built for them. I mean, have you ever tried to cage something that can teleport? Now, one big help in this whole process is how attracted the blue guys are to the crystals, the big ones, the atmosphere converters. The purer the crystal, the more irresistible. I think that was the first tip-off that I could co-opt the way they metabolize Ethereum for my own purposes. Yeah, Sparky, I know it hurts, but you gotta take one for the team. We all serve a greater good now. And I promise, if Operacja Inversia stays on schedule, you won't be suffering for long.
Now, I couldn't imagine being Requiem hearing that going on. That's going to be wild, however this is going to play out. And this goes hand in hand with what I mentioned at the start of the video about Wonder Weapons upcoming for DLC 2's Berlin map and possibly Outbreak's Easter egg in Season 3. Looking over Peck's radio a little more, he mentions about how the Tempests specifically metabolize Ethereum to give them the electrical powers that we see them do to our vehicles when we drive around in Outbreak all the time, which is really annoying. At the end of the radio, he says you won't be suffering for long because he intends to use their electrical power for Omega's own use. And this goes back to an intel that was added at the start of Season 2 from Gorev, who was reporting to Kravchenko regarding Omega Group ops in the Ural Mountains. And he mentioned near the end, if there is any upside to the danger they face from Dark Ether hostiles, it's the opportunity for weapons testing. And they've even began to recover weaponry from some of the hostiles unique to this location. Peck's radio further backs this quote up, of course, that they recovered the Tempests try harness this power, but this radio mentions that they've specifically recovered weaponry from some of the hostiles rather than recover the hostiles themselves. Thinking logically, the only hostiles that would leave their weaponry on the ground once destroyed is the Russian Manglers, where you destroy their arm cannons. Not only are Omega Group trying to weaponize the electricity from the Tempest, but they're also going to try and use the Manglers' arm cannons as weaponry. This is where this all seems to tie together really well with a recent leak leak over on Twitter and Reddit from two users, Nanikos and Margwabot. And I don't know what wizardry they've used to be able to discover this, but they've been able to find and actually use in-game an unfinished new wonder weapon that goes by the codename of Wonder Weapon _Mega Barrel Fully Auto. Now, I can't show you any images or footage of this in action. I'll provide links in the description to their Twitter post so you can see it for yourself. But what they realized is this mega barrel shoots different projectiles. And more interestingly enough, they shoot boss projectiles, including the exact same projectiles that the Mangler would shoot at you, as well as the Tempest. Being honest, this sounds like an absolutely awesome idea for a wonder weapon. After all these years of dealing with Manglers and Avogadros and other things like that, we can finally actually use their weapons against the zombies. Sounds really cool on paper, and I'd love to know in the comment section what you guys think of the idea of this weapon. Now, I don't know if this is going to be introduced with Season 3 in Outbreak as a new wonder weapon created by Omega Group that Requiem stumble upon during the Easter egg in Outbreak, but we also might not see this until Berlin DLC 2, where by then we might see Dr. Valentina actually enact her plan to resurrect the dead German soldiers from World War II, and that's going to be chaos in itself. Furthermore, with Season 3 upcoming for Outbreak's Easter egg and Berlin, we're definitely going to hear from Ravenov again, as we've got some new radios from Ravenov. Previously left us at the end of Firebase C to go to the Ural Mountains, and we've not heard from him or seen from him since, and he is now on the run.
It is not fun being on the run, but you know that better than anyone. I have news. Bad news. Omega's operations are expanding rapidly, in the way we feared most. We have noticed an uptick in activity deep in the Ural Mountains. More people coming in every day. There's talk of a special operation. As I said, bad news.
Further on from that, there is an incredible amount of brand new Requiem and Maxis radios that teach us a ton of information about her relationship with Weaver and the other members of Requiem, giving us some incredibly rich storyline, which could be its own video in itself, and I will definitely go ahead and do that because I don't know why I've not done it already. One of the more interesting radios is that Samantha does actually talk to Requiem. She specifically talks about Ravenov being the only person that she trusts.
Anyway, Ravenov. He helped you, right? He helped me. He has conviction and the courage to stand up for his beliefs. He's doing what's right. He's a good man. I hope you've come to trust him like I have. I think he could be key to overturning Omega, because there has to be a key to making all this stop. No matter what happens, I hope all of you will find the strength in your hearts to do what is right. Whenever you are faced with a great darkness, you must do all you can to meet it with light. This is something Ravenov knew. He knew he could no longer stand by as Omega's evil reigned. That is true courage. I hope I can do the same.
And the ending of that radio gives me chills. The fact that she's musing about standing up to evil and that she hopes that she has the courage to do the same. It makes you question, what evil is she talking about? Like I said earlier, there is so much more we can talk about with Samantha, and I probably will do in a future video. Rounding up everything we've spoken about into a neat little bow, Operation Inversion is the next main focal point for Omega and Requiem going into Season 3 of Outbreak. As looking at this new radio between Gorev and Peck, Gorev tells Peck that Requiem have now started conducting their own operations in the Ural Mountains, and it is so obvious that Season 3 is going to have them clash in a massive way. But Gorev is worried about them finding out about the current project, which is Operatia Inversia, which is to remain Dr. Peck's main priority. And if Peck sees any sightings of Requiem, to report them but do not engage, because we know what happened last time he engaged with Requiem. If you've made it to the end of the video, then you are are a true legend. Because there was a lot of things to unpack in this video, many multiple topics, and it's really appreciated that you made it through to the end to hear it all. I'd love to know your thoughts about everything we've covered in this video, especially the Wonder Weapon and all the other story implications. It sounds like Treyarch are setting us up for a great story in Season 3. If you enjoyed this video, a like on your way out would be super appreciated, helps out with the YouTube algorithm, and whilst you're at it, you might as well subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos like this. If there's any particular video topics you want me to cover, let me know in the comment section as well, and I'll catch you in the next one.